Welcome back. My name's Big John, and this video is something we discussed a few videos back. We're going to talk about gear a little bit. And so I've been asked a couple times, not here, but in the past, what are my priorities for gear? I'm starting out. I really don't have anything. Where do I start? Because honestly, when you start looking at this, especially if you are going to be in preparedness big time, it can be a little bit overwhelming because you look at the lists on the internet. Oh dear Lord, you spend $950,000, and you're just getting started, kind of thing. And for people like me, and I'm sure like you, hey, we got bills. We don't have. I mean, yeah, we got some disposable income, but we can't just go willy nilly. I mean, we still have to keep the lights turned on, the gas in the car, and food on the table. So what are my priorities? Well, as an RN, and also realizing I look at it as probabilities. What is the most probable going toward the least probable? Now, I'm not saying the least probable will not happen, but it's just not as likely as most. So I always look at medical first. When I look at that, you're much more apt to have a medical emergency than we're going to have a complete societal breakdown where we're walking around wearing plate carriers, nods, or night vision, and carrying carbines 24/7. Not to say that might not happen in the future. I hope it don't. But it's much more likely to have a trauma event like a wreck, maybe an accident, maybe a chainsaw kicked back and got in your legs, while you were cutting firewood. Maybe it was a storm. You listen to James Spann, you was in any safe place, you had your helmet on, but you got a trauma from, getting broken bone, lacerations, you name it. So I'll be honest, I always look at my medical first. So the first thing I want to make sure I have is if I'm on prescription medication, especially those medications that you have to be weaned off of. Steroids come to mind. If you've been taking dexamethasone or prednisone or something like that, and you've been taking it for a long time for a medical issue that you have, you can't stop those cold turkey without possibly going into adrenal crisis. So I would talk to my primary care physician and say, hey, can I get a 3-month supply? Because like Walmart, a lot of their generic drugs, you can get 3 months. And that way, if the power goes off or it's bad weather or something, or we have supply chain disruptions, you name it, you still got your prescription meds. So you've got that squared away for you and your family. The next thing I look at is IFAKs, individual first aid kits. Now, you've heard me mention these. These are not boo-boo kits. These aren't Band-Aids, Imodium, although those are very important, and I'm going to cover them as well. But these are trauma kits. And you've heard me give the old saying, you carry 2 trauma kits. 1 kit to cause trauma, 1 kit to fix trauma. So this is one of my IFAKs. I've got one for each family member. Actually, I kind of got multiples, but anyway. So what is in an IFAK? Now, you can buy these pre-made in this nice little Molly bag, or you can buy the stuff individually. Looking at the prices nowadays, you're probably money ahead if you don't need this fancy little cool bag with the batch. You're probably better off buying them individually. And what I would recommend is getting a food saver and vacuum sealing them. And then you can put it in a cargo pocket. You can put it in your purse, your backpack, sling bag, whatever you carry, so that you've got these every day. My daughter would tell you, I fuss at her and my wife. If you don't have your knife and you don't have your IFAK, that's 25 push-ups each. So, so we're going to break it apart. We're going to look at it. We're not going to go over how to use it right now. We'll go over the individual things and how to use them in an upcoming video. But I just want to introduce it right now. Okay. And this is how this one opens up. And I got stuff falling out. So we're kind of going to go from the most important to the least important. So first thing, and I apologize, I forgot to bring a rat tourniquet, is a tourniquet. This is a CAT, Combat Application Tourniquet. And this is North American Rescue. They are running about $30 now. Make sure if you're ordering them, and most times you do have to order. I've rarely seen these in a store. Make sure, like if you're getting them off Amazon, that they're North American Rescue. There are Chinese knockoffs. The windlasses that you crank them down with to cut the blood flow off are trash and they break. Buy once, cry once. This will literally save your life. An arterial bleed, like in your leg. Now, AAA in your abdomen, if we got you cracked open on the table, we may not be able to save you. But if, like it's in your leg, 90 seconds, you can lose consciousness. A couple, 3 minutes, you're dead. So don't skimp on this. Yes, you can make tourniquets out of stuff like belts and sticks and cravats and shamogs and all that. Forget that crap. Get you a CAT. That way you can do it yourself and save your own life. So, you tourniquet. Second thing, this is a form of IBD, an easy Israeli battle dressing. This can also be used as a tourniquet. It's not as good as a CAT, but it's not too bad. And it is a pressure dressing that goes over the wound itself, and you crank it down to stop bleeding. Hemorrhage is our number one thing. We got to stop our hemorrhaging first. Chest seals. If you have trauma to your chest, it could be a gunshot, it could be a through and through with a limb. This will keep you from developing a pneumothorax, which is the second preventable cause of death through trauma that we found. Hemorrhage, stopping hemorrhage is our first preventable event. Pneumothorax is second. I've got gauze, packing wounds. More gauze. And this is another Israeli battle dressing. This is a chest dart. This is a chest decompression needle. This is not so much for you to do, but if somebody who's trained, do it on you. If you develop a tension thorax, and again, we're going to go over this, you'll go to the third intercostal space, you'll poke this thing in, and it's like poking a balloon. It lets the air out, it lets the lung expand. With a tension pneumothorax, and I'm trying to keep this short, and we're at 8 minutes. A tension pneumothorax, air gets into the pleural space. That's the space between your lung and your ribs. Again, we're going to cover this in much more detail. But what it does, it collapses the lung. It does not let the lung expand. If it gets bad enough, it can cause trachea deviation, which is your airway, your air pipe. And it will actually can cause it to sever, and you will die. This is the third most preventable cause of death in trauma. Then we have a nasopharyngeal. This will open an airway. Goes into your nair. On me, I've had my nose broke a few times, so don't go up my left nair, go up my right. And I will show you how to measure these to an individual. But it'll go up through your nair and back down. And if your tongue falls back, this will keep your airway open so you can still breathe. And last but not least is gloves. I don't care if you got these or not. What we're dealing with, and especially working on your own family, I'm not too bad worried about AIDS and hepatitis C, Also, I'm not worried about sterility right now. I'm worried about stopping your blood loss. If I've got to stick an old nasty, oily rag in there to stop you from bleeding, guess what? That oily nasty rag is going in there. I'll worry about infection later. We'll take care of that later. If I'm trying to get something sterile to do it and you bleed out, me taking precautions against infection is worthless. So, me personally, I want 3 things minimum. But these 3 things. I want a CAT or a rat tourniquet. And I apologize about the rat. When we go over how to use them, I'll show you. The rat tourniquet is very good for small children. Sometimes if they're small, the cat tourniquet won't get tight enough. I want an Israeli battle dressing. And I want chest seals. And the chest seals will come in tubes. Now, you can also, if you got some duct tape, you can use the wrapper from the Israeli battle dressing as a chest seal. Tape it on 3 sides, leave one side open. But you can take those. These are already wrapped. Put your tourniquet on there, put your rubber band on it, and you put it in your pocket. If you got like I wear the Duluth Trading Company pants that's got the cargo pocket. This is in my right cargo pocket. Let your family members know. Let your buddies know if you're at the range where your IFAK is, so that they're not hunting. If there's been an accident or trauma, they're not digging around trying to figure where your IFAK is. I would recommend the families carry them all in the same place. If it's either in your pocketbook or it's in your, a certain pocket, or it's in your bag or whatever, but where everybody knows where everybody's is. So, all right. Well, we went over just a little bit. We're a little over 11 minutes. And you know what I'm fixing to say. But if you have comments, criticisms, questions, and Lord, I messed that up. Comments, questions, criticisms, or witticisms, put them in the comment section, and I'll help you any way I can. Thank you. Hope you have a great day. As always, I remain your humble and obedient servant, John Osbrook.